After this one? Okay. All right. Everybody read it? Remind you of college or whatever? You guys also have the questions, right? Okay, so let's just go through this little couple of them together. If you get bored, we'll stop and we'll do something else. Question 1. I got the answers, so I don't have to remember them. In his speech, Senator Support's main conclusion is what? Put this up there for you. What's the answer? A? Why is it A? Why isn't it C? Speak up, please. Yep. And the correct answer is A. And the thing that's important to be able to come up with that is your ability to analyze the argument. So let's do question 2. When Senator Support says, do you guys have the lines numbered on that? Yeah. When he says that taking advantage of ignorance is utterly despicable, he's probably what? Absolutely right. It's J. It's J. How about 3? Suppose Senator Support's reasons for his belief that advertising has a detrimental effect on children are wrong. Would that show that advertising has no detrimental effects on children? Because what? Okay. Why would it be C? Why would it not be D?
That is true, but there's got to be correct conclusions. If the result is correct, then there must be evidence supporting that result.
Good point. How many people picked C? Higher. How many people picked D? Okay, who wants to talk about why they picked D? Anybody?
Because you can have the wrong reasons to get to the right answer.
Yeah. Yeah, the answer is D. I thought it was C the first time I took it. And it made sense to me, and I would argue with this one, but I get D. I understand it. So yeah, the right answer is D for that one. Question 4. What would Senator Support probably need to assume in order to apply his arguments to the proposal that all commercials should be banned? Why J? That was a pretty clear one, wasn't it? Yeah, J is the right answer on that one. According to the passage, which of the following is the main reason why Senator opposed thinks that the bill would be unenforceable? Huh? Anybody think it was? Yeah. Who said that? Why did you think it was B?
Well, basically, his conclusion says that it is politically improbable or something like that.
Yeah. No, I thought similarly too. The answer is A. But, you know, some of these are so close, which is why I hated the SATs. I mean, I hated these things. And you never knew. When you left, you never knew. You never knew which ones you got right. But I think what's important with this one is that it has to do with the vagueness of the bill. I really think that's the way it was presented, so yeah. Nobody's counting. 2 more. Senator Post says that without child programming, children would not know what to do with their time. Which of the arguments below would probably be the most effective reply to this statement? Three, 6. Who says J? Correct answer. Why is it J? it goes to what they talk about as extending an argument, is what they call it, is extending an argument, absolutely. Okay, last one. In mentioning that no studies show that commercials damage children, Senator Poe seems to assume, but does not say what? What about D? Who said C? How many people said C? Right answer. That has to do with analyzing an argument. Anyway, this isn't perfect, but I wanted, how many people actually looked at this when they were doing it? Or they just read through it and said, this makes sense to me? How many people did that? Thought it made sense, and that's, yeah. Point being is that these are guides, but the way you think critically, it's going to, there's guidelines, but everybody approaches it differently. Everybody approaches problem solving differently. Everybody approaches analysis differently. What I'm suggesting to you is that you have to have some kind of a structure. It can't be based solely on emotion. And these are not all applicable every time, but if you're using these and you're using this to think through things, you're likely going to end up more often than not where you really need to be. And that's the point of this, is that it's not a be-all, end-all, but it's a tool to help you to think critically and end up in the right place. So, let me get one more. Any questions on anything? Anybody want to share a story? Are you guys tired of hearing about critical thinking? Okay then, well thank you so much for paying attention. Oh, there was somebody? Where? Oh, I apologize, please.
Sorry. Have you heard of question thinking?
Question thinking?
Yeah.
Say a little bit more about that.
Question thinking is a different way of
Can you hear her?
Okay, I think it's Tina.
Just talk.
Hi. Question thinking is a different way of asking questions where you reverse the question in a way is that, for example, what is the effect on you? So, of a situation, an issue or something. And question thinking is a way of thinking the other way, which is, I think, is relative to critical thinking. How would this impact your bottom dollar, or how would this have, it is a different way of looking at, of interpreting questions. It's a different way of asking questions that actually triggers your creativity.
Do you have information on that? Is there some place you could?
Yes.
I'll give you my card afterwards. Send me a link.
Sure.
I'm going to look it up.
Sure.
But if I understand what you were, what's your name?
Jen Hyman?
Jen, if I understand what you were saying, Jen, you were talking about taking a question and thinking about it from the other side? Yes?
Well, yes and no. It's both ways. If you're critically, thinking critically or strategically, right? But on the other hand, when you pose your questions, when you ask questions, you ask it in a way that has a positive.
Oh, yes. Okay, I understand. So I think I would say that that's a skill set. It's like when somebody makes a mistake, the question isn't, well, why did you screw up? It might be better to say, why did things turn out differently than the way you planned them? And what that does is it changes the environment in which the discussion is going to take place. In knowledge management. Anybody been in the Army? Remember after action reviews? Okay. There's another application of that called a retrospect, which is much broader. You look back over a whole project as opposed to just a moment in time, or at least how I define it. And One of the things that we try to do with retrospects is understand what the objectives of the task or the program were, know if they were successful, what were the measures of success, and then talk about them. And then what were the things that were effective that allowed them to achieve objectives? And the way we say it is, what were some of the things that turned out differently than you expected that led to you not achieving your objectives? As opposed to, well, this program was a disaster and this was all screwed up. Why did it turn out like that? How likely are you to share what the real reasons are that led to that different outcome when it's presented in terms of why did you screw up versus why did it turn out differently? Because you're now focused on learning about lessons learned that can be now shared and applied in other places, as opposed to focusing on an individual. Is that, Jen, is that what you were? Yes, absolutely. Very good point. Thank you. Yeah, how you ask the question can get you to a better outcome. Anything else? Any questions? Okay then. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is just a little token from the Boston chapter. Thank
Right,
you for
appreciate
coming
it.
out.
Thanks for
We appreciate
inviting
you
me.
coming. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're running a little ahead of schedule, so this is exciting. We usually never do this. So our next event is our keynote address, which everybody will be back in the Comenzelis auditorium where we were this morning for the executive panel. That starts at 11:30, so we actually have about 40 minutes. Since I do have a few minutes, if anybody's interested, I can tell you a little bit about our education opportunities in the Boston chapter. We plan starting this spring, starting the 1st of April, every spring we're going to run an CFCM study group, and then every fall the chapter will host a CPCM study group. They're all virtual, so there's more information on our website. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, the current one, like I said, starts on the 1st of April, and we haven't loaded that information yet, but it will be up there by tomorrow, now that I've talked about it. But it is starting on the 1st of April, 10-week, 1.5 hours a week in the evening, a virtual study group. All you have to do is buy there's a NCMA National puts out a study guide. You have to purchase that on your own and then take part in the study group, and then we'll host local exams, so you can sit for the exam here at a local facility. So if anybody's interested, please see me. We're excited to start those programs up again, encouraging people's critical thinking skills through, gained knowledge through obtaining those certifications. So you had a question?
You said these slides are going to be available online.
They should be actually now. Under the March workshop page of the ncmaboston.org website, it has a full listing of all the presentations, and there are links there where you can download the slides. Yeah, so they should all be there as of now. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you back a few minutes to get back on your mobiles and check back home. So great. See you at 11:30 for the keynote. Thank you.